on the gridiron or courtside, you know what time it is. It's
Sports plus life. Sports plus life.
ringside or front court or field pass, we ballin', no. Knuckle up or buckle up, I tell it like it is when I'm on my show. Home run, slam dunk, knockout, or got some dough.
Sports plus life.
Yeah.
Sports plus life.
Yo, 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 yo. What's up? What's really good? It's your boy Brandon Brevon Towns here for another episode of Sports Plus Life. You feel me? And y'all already know what's going down today because guess what? Guess what? Turn it off, turn it off, turn it all the way off. Boy, yeah. How y'all effing feeling? Oh, man, please allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Brandon Brevon Towns, host of that show called Sports Plus Life, that there sports podcast where we talk about all the necessary sports topics that are going on, and we talk about all the necessary life topics that are going on as well. And once again, sports is going to lead the day. It's going to lead the day, but this podcast will be quicker than the norm because, of course, it is it's early in the day, and as I alluded to a couple weeks ago, my new schedule changed, so I'll be doing my podcast earlier now. But yesterday evening, I got my second COVID shot. Yes, I did. I got my second COVID shot, and different. Everybody's different, so your reaction to the COVID shot is totally different, and for everybody. We've heard the good about it. We've heard the negative about it. Hey, look, man, long as I knew that they won't stick in no damn tracking device, no chip in me, it is what it is because, unfortunately, we're going to be at a time where you can't do nothing else without it, unfortunately. And that's not me trying to convince anybody who doesn't want to get the vaccine to go ahead and get it. I got it. It was my choice. It was my decision. And, like my brother Sean said when I talked to him about it a couple weeks ago, he said, I'm either going to die with it. He said, I'm either going to die because of it or I'm going to die because of it. Meaning that you're either going to die because of coronavirus or you're going to die because you got the vaccine for coronavirus. Either way, you're going to die. And I don't want to sound all doom and gloom, but I mean, all jokes aside, one of the things that I constantly like to talk about last year at the beginning of this pandemic is not living in fear. And one thing that unfortunately the reason why a lot of people do not want to take the coronavirus vaccine, is because, the conspiracy theorists out there. And the fact is that the government's reputation with black people is kind of fucked up. So that I can understand. I mean, I had my second, third, and fourth thoughts about it, but I didn't feel like I was a test dummy because millions upon millions of Americans have taken this vaccine before I decided to go through with it. Now, the only side effect that I felt from the second shot is I feel sluggish. I do feel sluggish. I do feel a little more sleepy than usual. I just woke up probably maybe about 20 minutes ago. And I woke up as far as taking a nap. I got up, took my son to school. I got up, did my normal morning routine, But at around like 9:15, I went back to sleep. I fell back asleep, which is not out the norm of what I did yesterday on my day off. But today, when I got up yesterday, I was up. Today, I do feel sluggish. I do feel kind of sluggish. Everything on me feels just a little heavy, like my legs feel heavy. My arms feel heavy. My eyes feel heavy. Actually, I'm not going to front. My eyes are closed right now as I'm talking, But I get why I said that sports was going to lead the day. I guess my COVID shot update led the day. But this is going to be a quick show because, one, I have to go get my son from school soon. And two, I feel sluggish. Honestly, I feel sluggish. But without further ado, my people, let's get to it. It is officially playoff time in the NBA. Okay, the last day of the regular season was on Sunday, and the play-in games start tonight, so you might as well say the playoffs are starting, because if you're not one of the top 10 seeds from each conference, your season is now over. You are now officially on vacation for the next 6 months. But anyway, before I get into the play-in situation, I'm going to go right down the list on the seeding as far as the East and the West. In the Eastern Conference, the number 1 seed is the Philadelphia 76ers. Number 2 seed is Brooklyn. 3 seed is Milwaukee. No surprise there. We just didn't know what order those 3 teams would be in. But it's been pretty consistent, particularly over the second half of the season. Now, 4 through 10, the New York Knicks, the feel-good story of the NBA basketball season, finished at number 4, 10 games over 500. They will host a opening playoff round series, and they will play the Atlanta Hawks, who is the 5th seed, and the 6th seed is the Miami Heat. And now we get down to the 4 teams that are in the playoff scenario. The slumping Boston Celtics are currently at number 7 in the East. The Washington Wizards, who have been just a renaissance since about the All-Star break, they ended up getting the 8th seed. The Indiana Pacers are the 9th seed, and the Charlotte Hornets are the 10th seed. Now to the Western Conference. The Utah Jazz has pretty much had the number 1 seed in not just the Western Conference, but in the NBA. They've had that pretty much for the entire season, really pretty much since the first quarter of the season ended. Number 2, the Phoenix Suns. What a turnaround for the Phoenix Suns team. I think Chris Paul should be the MVP. Emphasis on valuable. The Phoenix Suns have not made the playoffs in over a decade, and you go from being the 10th seed last year to the number 2 seed in the second best record in basketball this year, and there's no coincidence when you add Chris Paul to your team. Number 3, the Denver Nuggets, and impressive for them. Jokic will probably win MVP because he's been the most available, and it is impressive that when Jamal Murray got hurt, Denver was in the 6th seed. Now they're in the 3 seed. The Los Angeles Clippers, who I think is going to come out of the West, is the number 4 seed, even though they pulled a punk move the last couple of games, sitting everybody and losing to the Rockets and Thunder in what looked like a deliberate attempt to stay off of the same side of the bracket as the Los Angeles Lakers. Bitch made move, Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, come on. If it's me, preferably, I would want the Lakers now because they're still tenderized. I think the further they get, the stronger they will get. But they're the 4 seed. They will play the Dallas Mavericks in the first round, a rematch of last year's first round series in the bubble. The Portland Trail Blazers finished at 6. They're dangerous. And now 7 through 10, the Lakers, despite winning 5 games in a row, finished 7th. The Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, who, to me, after watching Steph these last few games, I got to put him at number 2 in the MVP category because Steph has just been out of his mind. The Memphis Grizzlies are number 9. The San Antonio Spurs are 10. Now, let's get into play-in game scenarios. They start tonight. The Boston Celtics will host the Washington Wizards, a tale of one team going north and another team going south. The Boston Celtics, who right now are the 7th seed, I don't believe will make the playoffs. I do not believe they will make the playoffs. They have nosedived. Honestly, they have. And the Washington Wizards, I hope Russell Westbrook gets some MVP votes because aside from being an all-star snub, the Wizards were horrible at the beginning of the year. They were terrible. They had a COVID outbreak. You had to get used to some new teammates. Westbrook had to get used to playing with Bradley Beal and all his other teammates. This is Russell Westbrook's 3rd team in 3 years, which you hate to say that about a player as great as Russell Westbrook, but they were horrible in the first couple of months of the season. Now, when the season began, I said, you got Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. I expected the Wizards to make the playoffs, but they made me out to look like a damn liar. Go back and check on my earlier shows around December when the season first started, around December, early January. But somewhere right before the All-Star break, you saw something starting to click with the Wizards, something starting to gel. And Russell Westbrook, who, like I said, was snubbed of an All-Star bid, went into Aaron Rodgers' vengeance. I'll show you tour on the rest of the NBA. And with all jokes aside, the last month and a half of the season, Russell Westbrook has been the best player in the NBA. I know a lot of people saying, no, it's been Steph. No, nigga. If you watch what Russell Westbrook has been doing, he has gone nuts on the rest of the NBA. So I think Washington is going to win tonight. I think they're going to get the 7th seed, which is going to set up an interesting matchup with the Brooklyn Nets because of the KD versus Russell Westbrook factor, and I am here for all of it. The 9-10 matchup, which is tonight as well, the Indiana Pacers against the Charlotte Hornets. The Pacers will be hosting the Hornets. However, I think that the Charlotte Hornets will win. I think the Hornets will win, and they will send the Pacers home for the season because that's the format. The 7-8 game, the winner gets the 7th spot, they're in. The loser, which would be the loser of that game, plays the winner of the 9-10 game. So, you know, if you're a 7th or 8th seed, it's not one and done. It's 2 and potentially done. And that's what I think the Boston Celtics are going to do. I think they're going to lose tonight to the Wizards. The Wizards will advance. I think the Hornets will beat the Pacers. And in the final playing game in the Eastern Conference, I think that the Hornets will beat the Celtics. The Celtics, I mean, you can't really blame the Celtics because they just lost Jaylen Brown for the rest of the season. It just wasn't their year. Now, I don't think Brad Stevens should be fired. I mean, hell, he's been in 3 of the last 4 Eastern Conference championships, but maybe another little tweak to the roster. As for the Western Conference, play-ins would start tomorrow night. The matchup everybody wants to see, which is really carrying the day when it comes to these play-ins, because it's about 50-50 when I hear people on the fence about it, but the NBA lucked up. The NBA lucked up with the play-in scenario having the Celtics in there, a historic franchise, Russell Westbrook, a historic player, and then to top it off, the cherry on the motherfucking Sunday is the Warriors versus the Lakers. LeBron versus Steph. Ain't that a bitch? The Lakers play the Warriors tomorrow. That's going to be tough, man, because I just don't know how healthy LeBron and AD are. Like, LeBron kind of tweaked his ankle the last time they played against New Orleans on the last game of the season. But I'm going to go with the Lakers. And then Memphis versus San Antonio. I'm not trying to be funny. Who cares? Who the hell cares, man? I think Memphis is going to beat the Spurs. And then they will play the Golden State Warriors for the right to have the 8th seed, which will be a very, very good game because the Grizzlies play gritty. They do play very gritty, but I think Steph will be able to carry them to 1 win before getting to the 8th seed and playing the Utah Jazz, which actually may be a pretty interesting series, actually. So now let's look at matchups the way I'm predicting them. Philadelphia will play the Wizards. Philadelphia will play the Charlotte Hornets, It'll be good for LaMelo Ball taking his team to the playoffs as a rookie. I have Philly coming out. Philly will beat Charlotte. Brooklyn will beat Washington. The interesting series is Milwaukee versus Miami, because remember, Miami put Milwaukee out last year, but Milwaukee appears to be a different team. They could legit end up in the NBA Finals. And I do not think that the Miami Heat will beat them this season. I think Milwaukee will advance. I think the New York Knicks will beat the Atlanta Hawks. And it's going to be interesting because then you have second-round matchups of the Knicks and the Sixers, which I believe the Sixers will win in a very tough 6-game series. And then Brooklyn and Milwaukee. I mean, damn, Milwaukee had their number in the regular season. But I don't know, man. That's tough. Because if I'm Budenholzer and we get to the Nets, I'm saying, okay, you know how they like to build that wall up, Giannis? I would say go and lower your shoulder and run right down Kevin Durant's chest. That would be what I would tell him to do on the first play of the first game of that series. You want to build up a wall? I would literally come down with fire in my eyes and drive right straight into KD's chest and see if he wants to do that shit anymore. I really would. I know they're gonna have DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin out there, but no, I'm you call it a targeting penalty. No, I'm looking right at you, bruh. I'm lowering it and boom, as if we on the football field. Think about it. But if that doesn't happen, I have to easily go with Brooklyn. I think it's gonna be Philly and Brooklyn. Golly, man, I really want to pick Philadelphia to come out of the East. But I'm going to right now have to go with chalk. Well, actually, chalk would be Philly. I'm really going to have to go with Brooklyn. Talent, man. Now, as far as the West goes, Utah will beat Golden State in an interesting series. Phoenix, with the great season they had, your reward is getting LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Like I said last week, the Suns have no shot in hell to beat the Lakers with AD and LeBron on the court. Very minimal. I shouldn't say no shot in hell, but very minimal shot to beat the Lakers. The Lakers will take them out in 6 games. The Nuggets and the Blazers. Yay. I actually like the Nuggets. I actually like Portland. I like Portland to pull off that upset. I do. I like Dame and CJ and Covington and Melo. I like and Nurkic. I like them to get that done. I like the Clippers over the Mavericks. We may actually be heading towards the Clippers-Lakers Western Conference Finals. I have the Clippers beating Utah in round 2. I have the Lakers beating Portland in round 2, which would set up the all LA NBA Western Conference Finals that we were robbed of last year thanks to the Los Angeles Clippers. And I believe the Clippers, even though the Lakers will be stronger, I believe the Clippers will be stronger too. The Clippers are specifically built to beat the Los Angeles Lakers. As a Laker fan, I hope I'm wrong. As an analyst, as a realist, I have to say I would like the Clippers over the Lakers. Now, all of my picks could change barring anybody's injuries. I think that's only fair. So the finals, and I've said this for a while, I thought the finals would be Brooklyn and the Clippers. But it's playoff time. The NBA is officially interested as a bid. Okay? So now, let me get into another topic. Over the last day or so, y'all remember the name Kwame Brown? Apparently, on the podcast All the Smoke with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, they apparently they had Gilbert Arenas on as a guest, and they apparently were saying some stuff about Kwame Brown. Gilbert Arenas calling him a show pony, and of course they're saying that he's a bust. And honestly, that term, saying that Kwame Brown was a bust, has really rubbed some former athletes, the wrong way. In particular, Keyshawn Johnson and Jay Williams. I heard them this morning saying, how can you call him a bust? He made it to the NBA, which I'm going to have to say, I have to agree. And I think that, and Kwame Brown came back with a vengeance. He does this hour and 15-minute conversation on YouTube. You can just pull it up on YouTube, Kwame Brown, or Kwame Brown Steven Jackson, where he's calling Steven Jackson a fake Black Lives Matter activist, but wannabe gangster. He calls Matt Barnes Becky with the good hair. I actually thought that was pretty funny. He calls Gilbert Arenas a slime ball ass nigga, and he's like, dog, I'm minding my business, and y'all sitting here wanting to throw shots at me. And I will say this, look, did Kwame Brown live up to the expectations that a lot of people would put on a number 1 overall pick? No, he did not. But to say that Kwame Brown was a bust, this is why I'm not going to say that Kwame Brown was a bust. First of all, he made history, and it's something they can never take away from him. He's the first player in the history of the NBA to be drafted number 1 overall straight out of high school. LeBron did it 2 years later, but Kwame Brown was the first. You cannot take that away from him. And Kwame Brown played in the NBA for 12 years. He played in the NBA from 2001 to 2013. If you're a bust, you're not making it that long. So for him to be a bust, and he played for multiple teams. He played for Washington. He played for the Los Angeles Lakers. He played for the Detroit Pistons, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Golden State Warriors. So he really had the title of journeyman, but you can't say a bust, because for him to be a bust, okay, 7 teams, Wizards, Lakers, Grizzlies, Pistons, Bobcats, Warriors, 76ers, 7 different NBA teams thought that he was good enough to be on their basketball team. And he played in the NBA for 12 years. He made over $50 million. Now, I know that's not the 100 or Supermax contract that you see never materialized to the $100 million player that you would think a number one overall pick would do, but so what? He made over $50 million. If you hear his story, going to the playground with no shoes on from South Carolina, Geechee, to playing somebody at the park and the winner gets the shoes, him playing for literally a pair of shoes to wear. From coming from that type of background, having two older brothers go to prison for selling drugs, and have that type of background, and to, not only be the first number one overall pick straight out of high school in NBA history, but making over $50 million, and it doesn't appear that he's one of those athletes who has pissed away their money. Because you've heard several stories about superstar athletes pissing away their money. Doesn't appear to be the case with Kwame Brown. I mean, he was playing in the Big Three. I don't know if he's still going to do that. But you can't call that a bust. Was he a superstar in the league? No. But again, 7 NBA teams thought that he was good enough to have them on their roster. He made over $50 million. Appears to be doing just fine financially down there in South Carolina, minding his own business. So, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know where all of that came from. Because, and I'm not trying to say that Gilbert Arenas is lying, or I'm not trying to say that Kwame Brown is lying. But what I will say is this. The guys who usually are telling the truth are usually the guys that you don't hear much from. And when have we ever heard Kwame Brown say anything? When have we heard Kwame Brown even get personal? A lot of people didn't even know what Kwame Brown's voice sounded like until yesterday. So just thought I would keep that in mind. So again, like I said, it's going to be a short show today. Nothing much to talk about on the NFL front. Former Packers GM called a bunch of quarterbacks divas. They were talking about Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers. What we thought was a proposed fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua on August 14th, an arbitrator has now said that Tyson Fury must honor his contract and fight Deontay Wilder by September 15th. I don't know if they're going to try to if they give Deontay Wilder step-aside money, that's going to be a pretty pente. But you know what? Fight Wilder. I mean, he honored his contract when y'all fought the draw, so you should do the same thing. The all-British mega fight ain't going nowhere. I mean, this is what boxing does. So anyway, with that being said, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily a good thing, because 3 years ago, Wilder and Joshua should have fought 3 years ago, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, that is how boxing goes. So with that being said, what a buzzer. My apologies today for the lack of sound effects that I usually have on the show, which makes the show definitely way more fun. Biatch. There you go. But again, knew this was going to be a short show because again, the COVID shot has me feeling sluggish, and but I'll be good. I am not turning into a zombie or anything. Like I said, I'm just more or less sleepy. But anyway, I hope everybody has a fabulous Tuesday and rest of the week. It is Tuesday. I did not say this earlier. It is Tuesday, May the 18th, 2021, as we are getting ready to exit. But again, if you have not hit that subscription button, go ahead and hit that subscription button and become part of the Sports Plus Life family. It's your boy, Brandon Brevon Towns. I'm out this biatch. Enjoy the playing games. Y'all hear from me next week, and you may even see me on a Facebook Live, IG Live, or a quick little YouTube clip video. Peace.